All right. How's everybody doing tonight? Great, wonderful, perfect. We are going to be going over a snort lab tonight, and we're not here Tuesday, so we're not going to cover really much in depth on the chapter material. We'll have everybody's grades updated by this evening. We had our training this week, so I had to do a lot of training Tuesday, so we're behind on grading. So have that done hopefully by tonight and posted for you. Anybody heard of Snort before? Heard of that program? Snort's an application basically that allows you to search the network for traffic. And I wanted to show you real quick. I've got this running for the last 5 minutes that we'll download in a little bit. And it's basically going out and it's basically snorting the network to look at traffic, IP address, source IP address, destination IP address, what protocol, the port it's using, and source port and destination port. When you click on each one of these, it'll give you more information. It also has, like for instance, a bandwidth monitor. So if you guys want to go and search, I don't know, go to google.com or something right now. It's going to search all the traffic on the IP address here in the classroom. And you'll see it peak a little bit on IP LAN activity. Now this is a GUI interface. I'm going to show you in a second the DOS interface that we'll play with as well tonight, that you'll download to your PC along with this program. They're both free and open source applications. A couple terms that you'll hear when you hear the word snort. One is, or more, a couple actually, packet sniffer, netstat, WinSnort, IP tools we're using tonight, and Wireshark. Wireshark's another one you might have heard of possibly in your Cisco classes. I like to get students to start with actually the base DOS version to see how that works, and show you how that works, and then go to the GUI interface. If you go into week 3 lab, I'm going to go ahead and stop the capture on this. If you go into week 3 lab, there is a file to download here in week 3 lab called download file. Before you hit the download file, do me a favor so you can get points. There's 3 people out tonight that emailed me for work. So if you put your name in the title and here in the message and then submit before you download this file, that'd be great. In week 3, put your name in the title here in the message and submit. And I'm going to go over what's due this week. You have week 3 review questions and quiz for week 3 due. And those of you who just come in, I'm going to try to get everything graded and updated here tonight. With employee training, it's been kind of hectic for me this week.
Show the attendance pin again.
No, can't.
Sorry.
So chapter review questions and quiz both is due on Sunday. Make sure before you download that file to your desktop, you submit your name in the Dropbox. Okay. Look at me when you get that file downloaded to your desktop. It shouldn't take that long. It's not a real big file. When you do download it to your desktop, let me just show you what I'd like you to do with that file once it's downloaded. So I'll go to week 3 where you're at, and I'll download it again here on my computer. If I just left click the download file, you should get a prompt like this in Firefox. And you want to go ahead and click OK. In the Firefox download dialog, when anything's downloaded here into the download dialog box, you basically, once it's finished, you can right click and open the containing folder inside of Firefox, which I'm going to do right now. I'm going to right click, open containing folder, And there's that sniffer file. Okay. What I'd like you to do is copy that sniffer file. Right click and copy it, that zip file there. And let's put it onto your desktop of your computer. Okay. Now to unzip this on your guys' computer, a real easy way to do it. Once you right click on that file, select this option right here. Either this one, if you have this option, extract to sniffer / or extract to folder, C, whatever. That's the one you want right here. And what it's going to do is create a folder. On your desktop called sniffer, and all those files should be in it. Okay. The one we're going to be running is this IP tools, but don't run it yet. That's the one we're going to be running. So I'll kind of come around as needed to see if you need help on downloading that and extracting it. But after we're through at the lab, we'll go ahead and delete the download and the extracted folder both. Name, the title, and here in the message. Around, make sure you guys have it downloaded okay. Download on here. Here. That's all right. And then go ahead and download that file. Go ahead and save it. Desktop's fine. And then as soon as it downloads successfully, click the open folder button, and then we'll extract it. Yep, so that'll work. Yep. Yeah, that's what I want you to do. Yep. Okay. Yeah, right click on that file and the second extract to folder. Okay, that's the first thing I need you to do. Second thing you need to do is go to snort.org. 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 I'll do it with you on the overhead here. Okay, when you go to snort.org, this tells about Snort a little bit. We'll read that before we download. It's an open source network intrusion prevention and detection system developed by SourceFire, combining benefits of signature protocol, anomaly-based inspection. Snort is the most widely deployed intrusion detection system and IPS technology worldwide, with millions of downloads and nearly 400,000 registered users. Snort has become the de facto standard for intrusion protection system. And so, and it is, I've used it for probably close to 15, 16 years, something like that. And they've had a lot of wrappers over the years. What I mean by wrappers is GUI interfaces, Windows applications to make it nice and shiny. But we want to go to the download Snort button here, the green button, click on that. And we're going to look at all the different releases by clicking on the latest release link right here where my mouse is on the overhead. Everybody see that? Latest release. Go and click on latest release. We're going to look at some of the ones that are released and what they're for. The first part is a README document that goes over the latest release and what changes have been made. The next is the 2 source files. If you're a developer, you can actually go in to the source code and manipulate it and use it for your own purposes. Binaries, this RPM files, the .rtm files, these are Linux distribution applications. And the one we're going to use is a snort 2N31 installer.exe. Everybody see that? Go and click on that one, and we're going to save that to wherever it saves it there on your computer, and install it. Just double click and install it. Accept all the defaults as it goes through. Where it says enable IPv6 support, do not check that. And click next. When you get to this screen, again, don't check anything, just hit next, just accept all the defaults. You don't really have to check anything. This one's crucial here. When you get to this screen, make sure you don't change the selection folder, which is C:\/snort, because basically it's going to dump a whole bunch of files in that directory. Okay? And then click next and finish. And then what we want to do is a Windows E command on your keyboard. The Windows button, letter E, will prompt My Computer and open it up. Windows E. And we want to go to the C:\snort directory. I'll come around and make sure everybody has that before we go further. That's not a full download. So go back to your website. Yep. Click Save. Click Save again. Yes. Let it download all the way. I'll go back to your desktop. It should be on one. Got 3 or 4 copies here, so I'm going to get rid of all. I'll be right up there. Okay, it looks like we might put on the end there .exe. It looks like an IE is stripping the .exe from the extension. So put a .exe on the end before you save it, and then IE strips the .exe. If you're in Firefox like me, that's all I ever use is Firefox and Chrome. It doesn't do that. IE .exe. Accept all the defaults. Don't check anything. Just keep going next all the way through. Yeah, click on that once. Click on it again. Hit the right arrow key on your keyboard. Right arrow. That's like it. And then .exe. Twice. And then run. The Windows E command on your keyboard. The Windows key. Right. Double click on your local disk C. Anybody else need help getting there? Okay, so in the snort directory, did you get it?
I installed it, I don't know.
Go to the Windows E directory, the Windows E keyboard command to go to my computer. You double click on local disk C, double click on snort. Okay, so it should look like mine. Everybody have that on yours? The snort directory? Okay, you got bin, which is where we're going to go in a second. The command prompt. That's where all the executables are for snort and the commands. Documents, go over the documents for how to use snort. So we're just going to go over some brief commands tonight. We're not going to be exhaustive by any means. Library files is for the application. Preprocessor rules, and rules are, you can set rules for snort, which we're not going to do tonight, to determine what it's going to catch and how it's going to catch it and where it's going to put it. And that document folder is describing all those instances. I will be creating a podcast, by the way, that we won't have time to mess with in class on just creating rules for snort. That'll be extra, so I'll let you know when that's up there. Log files, where you kick out a log file to this folder. We won't be using that tonight. We're just going to view it on the screen. etc is again a library folder for the app, and contrib is a library folder for the app. So double click on the bin folder if you would for me, the bin folder. Okay, these are all DLL files and an executable. DLL files are dynamic library link files for this executable to work. And then I think I told you earlier, this is a DOS program. So what I need you to do is, maybe some of you have never done DOS before, so I'm going to kind of teach it to you right now. I want you to minimize everything that's on your computer down to your desktop, like mine right now. Minimize everything down to your desktop. Then I want you to go ahead and click on the Start button, and then click Run, the Run option. And on the Open command, type in CMD, Charlie, Mary, Detroit, and then hit Enter. And this little black box is going to come up. And this is being recorded, by the way, so you can watch this later too. So let me erase this a little bit. So CMD. Okay. Now, in order to go to where we need to go, we're going to have to go to that directory on the C drive. So a couple commands. First command is the letter CD, Charlie Detroit, space, backslash, and then enter. CD stands for change directory, space, backslash, and then enter. Okay. Then you should have a C : backslash prompt. Everybody have that? Then you're going to do another CD. Snort this time, CD snort, CD space snort, enter. CD space snort, enter. Okay. Now, just type the word snort in by itself and hit enter. Nothing, because remember the application's in the bin directory. So see if you remember how to get to the bin directory. We're in the snort directory right now. How are you going to get into the bin directory with command prompt? I just showed you how to change directory, that CD option. So we're already in snort. How do we get to bin? Yep. We're just going to go to CD space bin. Change directory, CD space bin. And now we're going to go to the bin directory. Okay? CD space bin. Right. And just remember on command prompts, CD stands for change directory. After the change directory is where you're telling it to go. So instead of using your mouse, you're using command prompts. So instead of clicking your mouse to go folder to folder, you're basically doing a CD whatever folder, CD whatever folder, CD whatever folder. So basically the first one was CD. This here, by the way, stands for the root of the computer, which is a C : backslash. Yes. Okay, you need to do the first one, the CD space backslash. You haven't done that one yet. You did /. No, keep it up. The CD space backslash. And I'll help you guys. I know some of you it's your first time doing command prompt. CD space backslash. No, that's /. So yes, that one right there. Then enter. Then CD space snort. Enter. CD space bin. Enter. That's okay? Okay, so we're in the bin directory. Now that you're in the bin directory, you can go ahead and type in the word snort. We're going to actually add some commands here in a second, but if we just type in snort, it's basically going to commence some packet processing. You can't expand this little window, black window right now, this prompt window. What it's trying to do right now with just the snort command only is it's initializing all the plugins that are in that bin directory, and now it's noticing your IP address that you're located on and subnet, and now it's beginning to dump traffic that's on your on this network, which is you and I here in this room, Cisco Lab. So what I'd like you to do is somebody go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and you can do this too. Manipulate your web browser to where you can move and see the activity on this DOS screen. I'm just going to go to any website like google.com and hit enter, and you'll notice activity. Really, just like that. It'll start moving a little bit on your computer. The log will start growing. Okay. At the very end, you should get a ARP who is 172.20.0.1 tell 172.20.0. whatever IP address. And what this is doing is it's showing you the traffic as it is on your machine through the NIC card. Okay. Now this is really slow right here, but I'm going to show you some more commands here. In fact, keep your screen right up in front of you. Do a Command C. Command C on that black. Make sure your mouse is focused on the black screen, on the DOS screen, before you do a Command C. When you do a Command C, it should do this right here. It's going to stop it.
Type Command C.
Command, letter C is in Charlie. The command button on your
The control button.
control. I said command, didn't I? Sorry.
Mac world, right?
Mac world. Thank you. Control C. Command C on that. So what this is doing is basically just exiting snort. Anytime you want to exit it, just Control C if you're on a Mac, Command C. Then keep yours up right there. I'm going to bring up the from the website. They've actually got a really nice document here giving us some commands. That's what I'm going to go to real quick. And you can do this at home too. I'm going to the docs area on the website and snort user manual. And we're just going to do a few commands here. I'm going to scroll down to some of the basic commands. It actually starts on page 9, the ones that I'd like you to start with. We're going to do tonight, but you can go further in this definitely. It doesn't take real long to go through this. Okay. Starting with the snort V, the sniffer mode. The sniffer mode. Right now I just had you do the default snort, right? Which brings in all the plugins. It doesn't really filter a lot of traffic here. You're going to see some big filters. We're going to go over the first one in just a second, called the sniffer mode. Then we're going to go to what's called the showing more IP addresses, and also TCP, UDP, ICMP headers will be put in this. So the first one, -V, is going to be just TCP information. The second one we'll do is going to be TCP IP and UDP ICMP. Then we're going to go into the VDE command that instructs snort to display the packets along with the headers, the data actually on the traffic. So we'll do those three. So let's start with and you don't have to do this dash snort. All you have to do is start with the word snort, and I'll blow it up a little bit so we can see a little bit better. You're going to do this right here. You're going to type in your command prompt, snort space -V. Snort space -V. So let's go and do that. Okay, it should begin packet dumping. Now it's going to be pretty slow right now, but go ahead and do something on the internet. And keep your screens to where you can see your traffic as you're doing something on the web. So you'll have to move your screens around a little bit. I'm just going to go to google.com or mail.google.com. Yeah. So not do what now?
I'm not getting any output. Even when I
Make sure you did the right command. Do a Control C again. Anybody else not getting output?
she's not either.
Yeah, you should be getting some output. Might not be a lot, but okay. Make sure you guys are scrolling all the way down. It looks like you're all the way down at the bottom here. Okay, do a Control C. Okay, go ahead and do the snort command again for me. Snort space -V. V. Enter. Oh, Command C. Might take a little bit. Now, while it's commencing, go ahead and go to your web browser like google.com, yahoo.com, wherever, AOL.com, CNN.com. Just keep adding addresses to your activity, and you should see some activity on your screen. Let's see your NIC card. Let's check your NIC. Got some activity on the overhead. I just saw it scream by. Somebody's doing some stuff. Oh. Why did that? Okay, I want you guys to do some screaming on the web here real quick. Do some searching. We're going to watch on the overhead. You can actually see traffic there as well, because I'm searching the entire network for this room in Cisco Lab. So if you want to go ahead real quick and maybe download a file, go to download.com. You can download a file. Maybe try to, I don't know, you can go to netflix.com, might be a good one. Apple.com. Do what up? Yeah, Facebook would be good. Yeah, you can log into that. Okay, you can log into that. Now, again, this is just giving us IP only. Here in just a second, we're going to put the header information and TCP information. Yeah, I don't know, must be network issues with this. So might move to another PC possibly. That might be a big issue with yours. Let's see what your IP address is. Type in IP config. IPconfig. And re-enable it, just like we're restarting. Not recognizing your NIC card on this machine, that's why I'd say how this is. So, go ahead and scooch back to these guys here. That's all right, you scooch back to there and look over your shoulder. Okay, yeah, her NIC card wants to be recognized, so I'm thinking that's the same with yours. Your NIC card's not being recognized. Okay, let's do this real quick. Let's do a Control-C to kill it. We're going to do another command here. The next one is going to be snort-vd. Snort space dash VD. I have it on the overhead highlighted. Snort space dash VD. Now this is going to give us TCP information or IP information along with TCP, UDP, ICMP header. So we're going to get some more data here traveling across. It'll take a little bit to start processing, and you should see a lot more data beginning to fly across your screen as you search the web. It's going to start screaming, as you can see on the overhead. And you haven't even done anything yet. Now, if you try to go to like here's what I tell students to do on this one. You can go to like mail.google.com to log in, like you were logging into your Gmail, but put a bogus username and password in, like tester or something like that. Okay. And so the traffic on this one is going to be much higher. Just because, or more data is going to be here just because you have more data being shown. The IP address, TCP information, UDP information, the header, which I'm pointing to right now on the overhead. I'm going to let you guys still play with yours, but I'm going to kind of highlight some of these packets here real quick. Okay. Now, one of the things I did mention the last couple times we did a Control C was it gives you a breakdown by protocol what just happened. Okay. This ran for 89.77 seconds. Mine did. Yours was going to run a little bit longer, shorter, whatever. So you can do a Control C to see what you guys look like on yours as we're going over this. It processed 304 packets on mine. Packets per minute was 304. Packets per second, 3. It received 305 packets, analyzed 304 at a 99.672% ratio. Then it dropped 0, filtered 0, outstanding 1, injected 0. Then it goes over all the protocols, breaking them down one by one. From Ethernet protocol, that's your NIC card going out. IP4, which these computers use in here. You should have high traffic in TCP, UDP a little bit. And then down at the bottom, you'll probably have other and bad checksum maybe with a total at the bottom. Okay? So it breaks it down by protocol, each one of those. Okay, now we're going to do the last one on Snort here, which is the Snort space VDE. Snort space dash VDE. I'm going to put that in. And then go to your web and do some browsing. Basically, if you want, you just do a refresh on your web page is what I usually do, just to show how much traffic is flowing here. If you do multiple refreshes, by the way, it'll be more data that you're going to be gathering. Okay. As you can see on mine, I did like about 10 refreshes, so it's getting a lot of data coming across. It's getting every single packet, every single datagram, every single IP address, source and destination, headers, checksum, all the data is being gathered here. Okay? With programs I mentioned earlier on the board called Wireshark, you can actually dump this file, bring it in, click on it line by line, it'll break it down for you. You can even, if it's like an unsecured website, it can even transcribe a hexadecimal into text. So on that website, I typed in tester for Gmail. It would actually show me tester for the username and would show gobbledygook for the password, but at least I would find the username by doing a search for mail.google.com on the text file. And so that's how hackers actually started years ago with this program we're using tonight, which is still around. A lot of wrappers are added to it. But they would take this file, dump it into a text format, and then do a search. And then they began to get decoders to decode the hexadecimal headers to be able to figure out things like IP address or password, usernames, things of that nature. And there are programs we'll learn this semester that will show us that. Okay? So let's go to Control C real quick. Control C on this one, it ran for, let's see, 113 seconds, 1,563 packets, 1,563 packets per minute, 13 packets per second, received 1,655, analyzed 1,563. It dropped 90, which makes sense as much as I was pushing through there. Outstanding 92, it did not filter. Then it has a lot of Ethernet traffic. The ETH, that's actually from your NIC card going out. It should be the same number as analyzed. Okay? The ETH should be the same number as analyzed. And then the IP4 will be actually that 1653 minus the 92, which was not analyzed or outstanding. UDP traffic, ICMP traffic, TCP traffic, which is a wrapper of IP. Then going down further, I have a loop 11, Ethernet loop, other 62, and bad checksums 483 with a total of 1,563. Okay, so that is just the beginning. We actually just covered on the manual on Snort, page 9 and 10 out of a lot. Okay?
I have higher number than that.
Oh yeah, well you might, because
Like 14,600.
remember all I did was I refreshed this web page here multiple times is all I did. So if you have a web page with more data on it, more stuff on it, pictures, movies, music, whatever, it's going to be a higher number. Yeah. So again, we just went over the up to page 9 on the PDF file. And as you can see, it does take up a lot of system resources because mine browser's running really slow now. Okay. The next thing I want to do is that folder I had you download, the sniffer folder. Let's open up the sniffer folder, everybody. And we're going to look at the apps in this one first, with the app. The one app we're going to look at, or the one we're going to actually double click on here is, in just a second, not yet, is IP Tools. Everybody see that in your folder? IP Tools, you'll see in a second, has a lot of open source apps. All the other folders are just support folders for this application. So let's go ahead and double click on the IP Tools. You should see a GUI interface. If you don't see a NIC card drop down available to you right here where mine is on the overhead, it's having problems seeing your NIC card. You want to grab, though, an IP address that starts with a 172, I'm thinking, on your guys'. Is that right?
Yep.
172. I have 2 up here because we have multiple servers on this one. So 172, and we're actually going to go over these little buttons here first. As you hover over these, it tells you what they are. The first one's a bandwidth monitor. Second, statistics, network devices connected to this computer, Active Directory browser, a net API services. This is a net browser basically, and all the services running on our network. Firewall services that are connected, connections, DNS, Wins query, WMI, which is Windows scan, TCP scan, SNMP scan, ICMP scan, ARP scan, route table, ARP entries, terminal services, DHCP services. I'm going to go all the way to the very left on bandwidth monitor. Okay? When you click on bandwidth monitor, it actually should already grab your NIC card. Okay? The Intel NIC card. Now, if you move this bandwidth monitor in the corner of your screen and go ahead and begin browsing the web like you did with the Snort application, all right, and just do some basic refreshing or something of your web page you're currently on, just to make it easier to get data. It should give you a graphical interface, a packets in, packets out is what it's doing. Packets in, packets out interface. And the more you do on your computer itself, because it's to your NIC card only on this one, bandwidth only on your NIC card. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and exit out of that. Okay. Now, does everybody have the 172 dot whatever selected up on the upper left? Okay, go ahead and go to the capture button. I need to make sure a couple things are, before we hit start, I need to make sure you go all the way down to log and make sure it says to screen. It's check marked, to screen. Everybody have that? We'll make sure. Now you can do it for log at home, but it takes a little bit longer and it takes more resources when you do it to log. Okay, so we're not going to do log in here. But log will be beneficial if you got this. Generally, this type of applications ran on a computer in an IT department that does nothing else but this. That's all it does. There's no other processing going on. Nothing else is happening. Okay, so make sure it's set to screen. Then you're going to go ahead and click Start. The Start at the very top of the capture dialog. And now it's going to begin capturing in a more user-friendly format than what we did earlier with the capturing using Snort. It's going to capture pretty much the same type of data here. Notice you've got the time capture, source, IP address, destination IP address, protocol, UDP, TCP are going to be the top 2. The length of the packet, the source port, the destination port. And so if you keep that up in front of you, and you'll notice Some of these are green, actually have high concentration of or 123 packets ports. We'll talk about why that does that in a second. But let that sit there while you guys go ahead and go to your web page again and browse and do whatever to get some traffic in here. I'm going to go to download.com and download a file. And you can expand your browser too while it's going to sit there and run anyway. So I'm going to download an app here real quick. Here we go. Ultra VNC. Nah, let's do something a little better. There you go. We'll do Avast and a free antivirus. We'll download that one. I'll download that one. Okay, it's downloading. I'm going to minimize everything just to see what's going on here. Now, you're probably not going to be able to catch up to it. You'll be able to scroll down little by little here. But notice the IP address is 204.93.42.130 is probably going to be where I'm downloading that file from. Okay. Now, while that's being downloaded, I can actually do a bandwidth monitor like I did earlier to see what's happening. You'll notice on mine, on that downloading file, it's taking up a little bit more bandwidth than just sitting idle like I was earlier. And a lot of you are doing stuff on the network right now, so it's going to even peak a little bit higher. Goes up to, notice this very top line, it has already hit in here of over 2 million packets hitting per second. It's been hitting on some of these, but we have multiple users hitting. And while that's going, I'm going to go and click on some other ones here. I'm going to click on the statistics one. And this should be dynamic as packets grow. Well, I take it back. This is a snapshot of whenever you click on it. This net API services tells me on this one how many work groups are in this room basically, and what your most of you have like a MS Home or a PC something for the work group name for NetBIOS. I click on the users and click go, and I'm on this net API one. Tells me my accounts on my local PC here. Logged users on this computer, WTC instructor, and this pct130. Server info. That's the net API one. I'm not going to do the firewall because that takes up too much processes. Connections. This one's beneficial to see at a snapshot what apps are running. This is actually on your machine here. What apps are running, what IP address is attached to it, is there any remote connectivity, and what's the status of that. Notice mine, multiple Firefox, Internet Explorer, but notice the IP addresses on this are all different. Let me see if I can sort this here. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and do a capture stop. You can go ahead and stop yours if you want to. Because when you stop it, you can actually go in now and click on these line by line. Okay? So I'd like you to go down to maybe one that's let's go to a higher length packet. See if I can find one on mine. It's pretty good size. Here we go. This one right here. Probably when I was downloading the file here. Go further up. Another one. Now, if you look on the overhead, you can actually see there is, on the left side here, this is a hexadecimal. On the right side is the text. If you notice on the overhead, this pc17830, pc17830, Windows 5.1, Windows 2000. These are all the connections here in the classroom, and it also has a log was being captured. It was capturing the full data packet of that activity. Let's see if I can find another one here. And if you click on the right side, it breaks it down even further, line by line, with different protocols, the source and destination IP, the data set, the data itself, I'm sorry, the checksum. Let me see if I can find something of interest here. Well, let's do it this way. Let me show you a trick here. I'm going to go to File on my IP tools and do Save to Text. And if you look on the overhead, I'll go ahead and do this and you guys can do it. I'm going to save this as a test file, test.txt. You have to put an extension on it. And then what you can do with that is you can actually go here to that file and search it like I talked about earlier. So I can expand this file out and do a search. Say I know I want to find something in here like Google or whatever. Okay, there it is right there. Now if you look right here, okay, this is one of the websites I went to right here on google.com when I was searching. It brings in the this thought consulting, by the way. Anytime you see the word thought, THAWTE, that's a security protocol for websites. Also another one's RSA. Also another one, anytime you see the word key, security key, which you guys see all the time when you go to banking websites. This is actually when I went to mail.google.com. It's got a secure certificate, and it uses a company called Thought, THAWTE, to assign that certificate to that web server. And you always want to make sure you don't sign into a website that does not have some type of security certificate. But anyway, the one thing you don't see when you're browsing a website is this breaks it down by certificate number, region, which is California, Mountain View, and it keeps going on down. If we go down further and further, you can break it down even further. And there are tools that actually can show you when that certificate was created, when it's expired, IP address assigned to. And sometimes hackers use that to break into web browsers or web servers. So I'm just going through a google.com search on mine. And most of the stuff I refreshed was at mail.google.com. Here's another website, Google Analytics, which Google uses a lot for all their ads on their site. And let's type in another one. I think it was CNET. I think I went to CNET to download, I think. CNET.download.com. There we go. Okay, so even further. Now, just so you know, some of you I know are into web programming in here. You might have heard of the GET statement in web programming. PHP does that. It has a GET statement to get information from a URL. This GET statement on this side here, when I did a search for CNET, it's going out and getting that exact file from the website that I clicked on. And this whole long list of text is actually going to eventually make it up to wherever that file was that I downloaded, which I think was Avast, I believe. something like that. So this whole big get statement right here is going to actually end up in what it took for me to download that one file, the URL it took to download that one file. So let me just see if there's anything else in here of interest. Okay, right here. PWD is a lot of times websites used for password, hidden keys within a page. I can investigate that further and figure out why it's found that, where it found it at. More likely it's going to be on the Google, mail.google.com page. They use variables. Programmers use variables like PWD for password within the web session. And I think I told you guys when I did that, I think tester and tester for username, tester for password. And so all we're getting here tonight is data. We're mining data, and then we'll learn about tools you can use to extract this data. One of the tools we're not going to go over tonight, you can play with though, it is a free download, is Wireshark. I'd recommend that at home. You can download that, Wireshark. It's much slicker than the one I had you download here, IP Tools. Much slicker, Wireshark is. Okay, Wireshark will capture your data like we've done tonight, and then you can export in different formats: HTML, XML, color. You can do color schemes for the different protocols, like different color schemes for TCP, UDP, and so the whole purpose of what we did tonight was to show you, as an IT manager, as a network security personnel, you've got to understand, beginnings anyway, of understanding how to get data before you can define the data. Does that make sense? You have to know how to get it first. Then I will show you how to break it up into little pieces and find information that is important for you to do what's called penetration testing to make sure people that do get this data, maybe that fire up apps like we use tonight, aren't going to be able to find any information to sacrifice your system. And so make sure, I'll show you how to do that. One of the ones we can really learn most how to do that is probably the man-in-the-middle lab we do here in a bit, in a few weeks, where you really capture data, capture packets, and we break it down line by line to understand what you captured, how it captured it, and how hackers use that against networks, basically, to get username and passwords, what that lab does. And for the most part, when scans are done on a network, like we used tonight, using Snort, generally, like I said, when you run Snort, you want to run it on a machine that's all it does is run Snort or run IP Tools or run Wireshark. That's all it does all day long. And normally, IT folks will only capture the data, and you can set up rules to capture data for certain things. Like, say, for instance, a peak in traffic above so many million packets per minute or something. When it hits a certain threshold, you begin saving a log of that. And then also you can put triggers in applications to text message the admins of, hey, server IP address this has some issues. We saved the log file here. He can remote in, or she can remote into the company and actually begin to see the data and what's going on immediately. And you can do it from any mobile device to do that today. And so these tools, meaning starting with the first one, the old school Snort, it would be beneficial probably to go through that documentation more. And then you have a multi-page documentation. We just went through 2 or 3 pages tonight. I always like students to start there, because when you go into the more GUI ones like IP that we use tonight, IP Tools and even Wireshark, you can rely upon them and not really know what it's doing, if that makes sense. And so Snort, the documentation, granted you might not want to, what I tell students is the first 2 or 3 pages or 4 pages of that document is broken down by sections. You might focus like on intrusion. How does it detect intrusion? How do you set up rules in Snort to detect intrusion. It'll show you how to do that. Show you how to create the intrusion log files, the rules for that. It's fairly simple to do. And one example of intrusion would be name. Actually put in an intrusion file a rule that'll trigger and begin, blocking that traffic for certain names that come across your network. Like say, for instance, pornography or whatever, certain application you don't want people on your network using. Because when you use, like, for instance, Firefox, you can see from the overhead tonight when you guys were all on Firefox, the IP address showed up for that one app I ran in IP Tools that showed the IP address and all the applications running. That comes across the network. So it's not just, when people browse the web, they're not just, IT doesn't just see what you're browsing, they see all the programs you're on too, at any moment's notice. And so, if it's peer-to-peer program you're wanting to stop, like Kazaa was a popular one a while back, LimeWire was a popular one. So you put keywords like that in the rules, and then this can block it. It can block that unique IP address from any traffic. You just block it, boom. So you can use this type of tool to determine what IP addresses are having problems here, causing problems on the network, and you can ship that IP address to another application to literally block that. And so this IDS intrusion detection system that Snort is very beneficial for that. The other app that you want to look at is, I think it's still up on there. No, it's not. It's WinSnort. WinSnort. If you Google that, there's a download for that as well. WinSnort. It's a GUI. There's actually a web page for that as well, I believe. WinSnort. And then IP tools we use tonight. We also use Snort tonight. The one I recommend further investigation will be Wireshark and WinSnort. But on Snort itself, I do recommend the doc link on that website, on the snort.org. There's a doc link, and that doc link will give you a manual that you'll love to read before you go to bed. Yeah, right.
I see it.
Woo! You guys got, for a second, you guys were like,
I saved it.
read that before I go to bed? I'm not doing that. Well, if you want to go to sleep, right? It'll put you right to sleep. Exactly.
So you either can block the IP address or the website thing, right?
Yeah, well, what this does is Snort will actually alert other systems to block it. So say, for instance, you have another application, a network application running on the machine or another machine, and it can be sending files. Snort can be sending log files to that machine, and this machine's reading that Snort file all the time, and when it sees a certain IP address in with a certain rule, it blocks it. So that's what Snort's used for. It's more of a log creation, on-the-fly log creation, to detect whatever it is you want it to detect. It doesn't really do the blocking, it tells other applications to do the blocking, if that makes sense. So it's a detection only, monitoring only app. But it's very powerful, and it's really not changed much as far as the concept, like we did here in DOS, hasn't changed much since it started. As far as the concept of the app, what it does, what's changed is all the nice little GUI wrappers around it. And I always tell students to maybe spend a week or two before you actually get into Wireshark maybe, or even more in IP tools and WinSnort. Spend a week or two just on that snort.org website and that documentation and doing command prompts. Because it's those real powerful things you can do to it. And then once you learn the command prompts, you can actually create bat files and put those commands in a batch file. And then just double click on your Windows desktop when you need to run certain things on your network. And it'll begin running Snort and running that intrusion detection or whatever you want it to do. You know, in the past, I've set up multiple different batch files, and it'll show you how to do that as well on the manual. For some of you maybe have never heard of a Windows bat file. Basically what it is just a file that tells Windows, basically what it does is it goes in and does this that we did on the board. Windows does it. in a bat file. So you type in the codes, you type in the commands, proper commands to launch a command, CD all the way down to do the command. So basically you're not going to type it in, it's all in a script basically, a batch script.
Yeah, more like script file. That,
Yeah, it's like a script file where you don't have to manually type it in every time. Now granted, you would when you're first developing it to figure out what it is you want it to do, but then once you figure out what you want it to do, you create a batch file to do it for you automatically.
Just one click instead.
One click and it runs, yeah, exactly. You might have 50 lines of code or something, so. All right, so any other questions?
Yeah.
Yeah.
For those software, right, can you install it into like one computer and run them at the same time, or you recommend to
Well, as you can see when you downloaded Snort from the website for Windows, that executable, all it did was dump everything to the C Snort directory. You can take that Snort directory and put it on a USB drive. Take that USB drive to any computer on your network and run Snort, because it runs everything from the folder. Does that make sense? So again, this would be that Snort folder. Once you run the Snort commands, you can basically just take that Snort folder, which is very small, and put it on a USB drive, and pretty much once you learn how to do the logs and the rules on it, you can pretty much run anything you want to from any computer, any Windows computer. You can set it up. And so, yeah, I'd recommend doing that, because all of you have USB drives already, so just downloading Snort to that USB drive, and it's portable. It's wherever you go, you have it. The IP tools that we ran tonight, it also downloads as a folder like we did. You can put that on a USB drive as well. Wireshark has a portable version as well. If you just type in Wireshark portable in Google, there's actually a portable version of Wireshark to run off your USB as well. It's a minimal version, but it runs, yeah, it works good. So,
and they're all free, right?
huh?
They're all free?
All free, yes. And while we're talking about USB stuff, let me mention a product. It's portableapps.com is the name of it. Portableapps.com has a lot of these products on there that I mentioned, or security products. You can find them anyway to port them in. It's portableapps.com, and this is a B. Portableapps.com. Portableapps.com has a binary file you can download, an executable file you can download. What it does is it has different suites you can download. Like the suite, one of the suites you can download has like the full open office in it, has a password keeper, some network security stuff in it. And then what's cool about this is you can actually add into Portable Apps different applications. And when it runs on your computer, when you plug it in, it gives you a menu. And that menu is just like a start button on a Windows computer. Yeah, and it's totally free, it doesn't cost anything. Portableapps.com. I've used it for years. They keep developing and adding more to it. And you can search. There's a development version on that website, or a kind of like a beta type thing where you can search for security category. You get a whole bunch of cool security tools, Windows security tools. So, all right, pretty cool, right? So you're going to be staying up all night doing a little bit of
Reading.
Okay, let's see.
Sir, do you have the CD for the lab?
Yeah, I did. The one we did last week.
Yeah.
Yep.
I missed that one, sorry.
Well, when you're done, if you guys do me a favor, if you could delete that folder from your desktop, that would be great before you go. And then I'm going to give it to you.
Uninstall Snort or leave it?
Deep freeze.
Yeah, if you would. There's no deep freeze on these machines, so
Oh,
yeah. So uninstall every time, everything. So Snort, desktop, whatever it is we put on there, we do that. Okay, on your NT reset lab, there is a. If you go to week 2.